But the fate of birthright citizenship is now in the hands of the Supreme Court. Another big story today. Justices today heard oral arguments in the case. It stems from a challenge to Trump's executive order signed on Inauguration Day, January 2025. The administration wants to end birthright citizenship for the children of non-citizens, arguing the policy has been taken advantage of by undocumented immigrants. In a first for a president sitting, Trump made an appearance at the court today. He left during plaintiff arguments made by the ACLU, who laid out what's potentially at stake.
Thousands of American babies will immediately lose their citizenship. And if you credit the government's theory, the citizenship of millions of Americans, past, present, and future, could be called into question.
Again, it was the first time for a sitting president to attend this. After he left the court, President Trump claimed the U.S. is the only country in the world, quote, stupid enough to allow birthright citizenship. This is not true. According to Citizens International, at least 30 other countries allow it, including Canada, Mexico, Brazil, and Argentina. ABC 10's Becca Habecker joins us in studio. And Becca, you actually spoke with a local legal expert about her take on today's hearing, right?
Yeah, that's right, Alex. A McGeorge School of Law professor tells me she's always hesitant to draw strong conclusions from the questions the justices ask, saying they asked tough questions of both sides today. But she said there's a lot of legal precedent for upholding birthright citizenship as we know it. This was the scene Wednesday morning outside the U.S. Supreme Court. Demonstrators in favor of and opposed to birthright citizenship as established in the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, which says all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States.
It says if you're born in the United States, you're a citizen.
Leslie Guilo-Jacobs is the Anthony Kennedy Professor of Law at University of the Pacific's McGeorge School of Law. She says the 14th Amendment came after the Civil War to ensure formerly enslaved Black people were granted citizenship. But in the more than 150 years since then, courts have applied it in contexts beyond freed slaves. However, on the same day he was sworn in for his second term, President Trump issued this executive order, saying citizenship will no longer be granted to babies born to mothers who are here unlawfully or on a temporary visa. It never took effect as federal courts blocked it and legal challenges led it here. Professor Jacobs says Trump's argument hinges on the phrase and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. Here's the U.S. Solicitor General arguing the government's position before the justices Wednesday. Only audio recording is allowed of Supreme Court hearings.
In 1884, this court recognized that subject to the jurisdiction means owing direct and immediate allegiance. The clause thus does not extend citizenship to the children of temporary visa holders or illegal aliens. Unlike the newly freed slaves, those visitors lack direct and immediate allegiance to the United States.
Professor Jacobs says that's never been how courts have interpreted it.
Subject to the jurisdiction has very few exceptions, and it means you're not subject to the jurisdiction if, in fact, you are loyal to a different government. And so the best example of that is diplomats who are here. They get diplomatic immunity. They're in their embassies. It's not part of our government.
She pointed out Congress passed a law in 1952 reaffirming birthright citizenship. So in order to overturn the policy,
the court would have to find that the president could override not only the words of the Constitution, but also the words that Congress wrote in at a time when Congress would have known that the courts and the government were interpreting those words subject to the jurisdiction as meaning this broad concept of birthright citizenship.
California Democratic Senator Alex Padilla was among those rallying outside the U.S. Supreme Court, criticizing the president's executive order.
He wants to be able to pick who gets to be an American and who doesn't. It's wrong, it's un-American, and it's dangerous.
Justices are expected to issue a ruling in this case before the court's term ends in late June. We'll, of course, keep you posted. Alex?
All right, Becca, thank you.